Welcome back. In this class we will discuss another application of the semiconducting nanomaterials, and the application name is dye-sensitized solar cells. You know, the solar energy is very important because every day the petrol or diesel price is increasing. So, we have to find out the renewable energy sources to meet our energy needs. So, one option is to utilize the solar energy. So, by using this type of semiconducting nanomaterial, we can harvest the solar energy, and that type of device is known as the dye-sensitized solar cells. If you look at one calculation which is come on a journal, chemical review journal, which is published by American Chemical Societies. In that journal which is published in 2010, they are telling that the mean global energy consumption rate was 13 terawatt in the year 2000. So, as the population growth is increasing and energy consumption is increasing, so the global energy demand will be 28 terawatt in 2050. So, we need a large quantity of energy to meet our global energy demand. So, if you can place 10% efficient solar energy farms of dye-sensitized solar cell, we can produce around 60 terawatt of power electricity we can produce. So, all our electrical energy need can be met by this 10% efficient solar farms. So, solar energy has the largest potential to satisfy the future global demand in our world. So, this is solar energy utilization by using nanomaterials, and very important field of research. So, semiconducting nanomaterial can be used in solar energy applications, which is known as the dye-sensitized solar cells. Basically, you may heard about the silicon solar cell. There is some difference between the silicon solar cell and the dye-sensitized solar cells. Silicon solar cells, the same silicon material is responsible for light absorption and charge carrier. You know that what solar cell will do is, solar cell will convert the solar energy into electrical energy. So, the light absorption and the charge carrier, electron transport, takes place through the same material in the silicon solar cell, whereas in dye-sensitized solar cell there will be more than one component. For example, the light absorption in dye-sensitized solar cell is done by a dye, organic dye molecule, and the electron transport or charge carrier functions are performed by other different materials. For example, our semiconducting oxide materials. So, this is the basic difference. In silicon solar cell, silicon metal is responsible for light absorption and charge carrier, whereas in dye-sensitized solar cell, light absorption is done by organic dye molecule and the charge carrier functions are done by the semiconducting nanomaterials. Why this dye-sensitized solar cell is very important, or why it is superior to the silicon solar cell? Because silicon solar cell, we have to invest a huge amount of money to produce the silicon solar cells, because in silicon solar cell we require the metal silicon in pure form. To produce the silicon in pure form, we have to invest a lot of money. It is a very costly process. That is the one advantage of DSSC over the silicon solar cell. Second one, the silicon solar cells are made in very large panels. Hope you may see in that type of solar cells which is placed in the rooftop. It is very large panel. So, in order to transport from one place to another place, it is very difficult, whereas the dye sensitized solar cell, it is flexible and lightweight. You can easily transport by your own from one place to another place. For in the silicon solar cell, you need a labor charge to transfer one place to another place, because it is a very huge panel. The third advantage of the dye sensitized solar cell, you have the design opportunities. You can make the solar cell in different color. Whatever color you require, you just change the dye using in the dye sensitized solar cells. So, you can produce different colored dye sensitized solar cells, and you can also keep the transparency, and you can integrate that dye sensitized solar cell into your window glasses or into your building, etc. So, the integration is possible, whereas the silicon solar cell, you have always to keep on the rooftop where you will get the maximum amount of sunlight. That is the third advantage of dye sensitized solar cell. Fourth one, the dye sensitized solar cell will have the high performance under real outdoor condition and indoor condition. You can use the DSSC in the indoor condition. Inside your home, you can use the dye sensitized solar cell. So, these are the 4 advantages of DSSC compared to the silicon solar cell. First one, low production cost and lower investment is required for dye sensitized solar cell. Second one, it has the flexibility and it is very lightweight. Third one, you have the design opportunity, like you can vary the color of the dye sensitized solar cell. Fourth one, it has higher performance under real outdoor and indoor conditions. There are many companies worldwide involved in the production of the dye sensitized solar cells. For example, BASF, Bosch in Europe, and Toyota, Sharp, Panasonic, Samsung and Sony, etc. in Asia are doing the dye sensitized solar cell development, and company like Dysol and Solaronics etc. are focusing on the selling of the dye sensitized solar cell material components. And there are large number of research groups are established all around the world in Europe, Japan, etc. to doing the research on the dye sensitized solar cells. So, it is an important area of research. People are trying to develop the dye sensitized solar cells having higher efficiency. Now, we can look what is the principle behind this dye sensitized solar cell. Basically, I told you the solar cell will convert the available free sunlight into electrical energy. So, how the solar cell dye sensitized solar cell will convert the solar energy into electrical energy. For that, we have to look what are the components present in the dye sensitized solar cells. Dye sensitized solar cell is basically an electrochemical cell. The components present in the electrochemical cells are an anode, a cathode, in between you have electrolyte. Anode, cathode and electrolyte. And the speciality of this anode and cathode here is they are conducting surface. Otherwise, electron cannot move from the anode to the cathode. So, mainly the anode and cathode are made up of ITO or FTO plate. ITO means indium tin oxide and FTO means fluorine tin oxide. They are conducting surface. So, they can pass the electron, because we have to produce the electricity. Electricity means the passage of electron. So, this anode and cathode is made up of ITO plates, and you have the electrolyte in between anode and cathode. Now on this anode you have the semiconducting oxide. We will make a thin film of semiconducting oxide on the surface of this ITO plate. Now the anode contains the ITO plates, then you have the semiconducting oxide. Now this anode will dip into a dye molecule. As I told earlier, the light absorption is taking place in the dye sensitized solar cell by a dye. So we will put the dye on the semiconducting oxide. So these are representing the dyes on the surface of the semiconducting oxide. So what are the components in the anode? You have a ITO plate. Over the ITO plate we will make a thin film of semiconducting oxide, then that one will took into an organic dye, then the organic dye will be attached to the semiconducting oxide. And you have the cathode, and cathode is again ITO plate. It will be coated with some platinum, Now we can look what is the chemistry, how the solar energy is converting into electrical energy. First, the sunlight will fall upon this anode where you have the semiconducting oxide plus the dye molecule. So the dye is an organic compound. Usually the dye used is an N719. It's a ruthenium based dye. I will show the structure in the next slide. So the dye will have a HOMO and LUMO. HOMO means highest occupied molecular orbital and LUMO means lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. So sunlight is directly falling on this dye. So the dye can excite one electron from the HOMO to the LUMO. Because dye is colored, it can absorb the visible light. When the visible light falls on the dye, it can excite one electron from the HOMO to the LUMO. From the LUMO, now the electron is on the dye is excited one electron from the HOMO to the LUMO. Now this electron goes to the semiconducting oxide, conduction band of the semiconducting oxide. You have, this is the dye, and attached to the dye you will have the semiconducting oxide. Semiconducting oxide, again that will have a valence band and a conduction band. Now one electron is excited from the HOMO to the LUMO by the absorption of sunlight. By the absorption of sunlight, one electron is jumped from the HOMO to the LUMO. From the LUMO, it will goes to the conduction band of the TiO2 or the semiconducting oxide. You have the semiconducting oxide here. So the electron generated by the dye now moved from the dye to the semiconducting oxide, then it will goes to the ITO plate. I told you ITO plate is a conducting material, so that electron can move from anode to the cathode, Now what happens is dye is lost one electron, right? Dye is lost one electron. That electron goes to the semiconducting oxide. From semiconducting oxide it went to the ITO plate, then it go to the cathode. Now the dye is lost one electron, it is oxidized. It will look for one electron, right? Where it will get one electron? It will take the electron from the electrolyte, which is basically iodine triad system. I minus will be the electrolyte. So it will take one electron from the electrolyte. Now the dye is happy, it got one electron which is lost to the semiconducting oxide. Now the dye is degenerated. Meanwhile, this electron moved through the semiconducting oxide ITO plate will reach into the cathode, right. Now, what happens to the electrolyte? Electrolyte lost one electron. So, that electron is taken from the cathode, because this electron is already moved from anode to the cathode. Now, the electrolyte also got the electron. So, there is no net chemical reaction happened, but movement of electron took place from the anode to the cathode. First, electron is generated from the absorption of sunlight by the dye HOMO to the LUMO. From the LUMO of the dye, it will goes to the semiconducting oxide. From the semiconducting oxide, it will goes to the cathode. Meanwhile, the dye lost one electron, it will take that electron from the electrolyte. So, meanwhile, this electron is reached to the cathode, that electron will added to the electrolyte. So, there is no net chemical reaction happened, but electron is moved from the anode to the cathode. So, altogether movement of electron is happened without any chemical change. That movement of electron will be the current. So, you can generate power out of that. So, these are the steps involved in the working of dye-sensitized solar cell. First, the light is absorbed by the dye N719, which is absorbed on the TiO2 film, and the second step is the excited electron in the dye is then transferred within a very short time into the conduction band of the TiO2. So, this leads to an effective charge separation with a negative charge within the TiO2 and a positive charge on the surface of the absorbed ruthenium dye. And the third step is the ruthenium species is then reduced rapidly by taking an electron from the iodine anion, which is a electrolyte present in the system. And the fourth step is the electron is injected into the TiO2 in the previous step, diffuses through the nano network of the particle until it reaches into the electrically conductive surface for current collection. And the fifth step is the electric charge extracted from the photoanode as a current can be utilized to provide the useful electrical power. Last step is, in order to close the electrical circuit, the negative charges are directed to the surface of the counter electrode, where I3 is reduced to I minus. This there is no net chemical reaction is happened, but electron is moved from the anode to the cathode. So, movement of electron is the electric current. So, you can generate the power. These are the steps involved in the working of dye-sensitized solar cell. On the right side, you can see the UV visible spectra of the dye N719, where it absorbed from 200 to the 800. When it absorbs from 200 to 800, it can eject the electron from the HOMO to the LUMO. So, when sunlight falls upon the dye, it can eject electron from the HOMO to the LUMO, that can goes to the semiconducting oxide, and all the process can happen. Now, the electrolyte used in the dye-sensitized solar cell is a mixture of lithium iodide and iodine, or the electrolyte used in the mixture. Along with the lithium iodide and iodine, there will be 1,2-dimethyl 3-propyl imidazolium iodide, and also there is an addition of tertiary butyl pyridinium. All these are made in solution of acetonitrile solvent. Now, this dye molecule which is used in the dye-sensitized solar cell should have a certain essential characteristic, otherwise this dye-sensitized solar cell will not work. The first point of the dye-sensitized solar, the dye which is used in the dye-sensitized solar cell is the absorption spectra of the dye should cover visible region and even the part of near infrared region, because we are exciting the electron by using the sunlight. When the sunlight falls upon the die, it will eject electron from HOMO to the LUMO. For that, the die should absorb the visible region, because the sunlight contains 5% of UV and 45% of visible light, and remaining is the IR. So, the die should, if the die is selected in such a way that it should absorb all the solar spectrum from UV, visible and IR. So, that will be the better die. If the die absorb from UV to the IR region, it will be very good for the dye sensitized solar cell. That is the first condition. The absorption spectrum of the die should cover the visible as well as the IR region. And second one, the die, otherwise it is known as the photosensitizer. The die should have an anchoring group to strongly bind to the die onto the semiconducting surface, because if you look at the schematic diagram here, the die is attached to the semiconducting oxide. So, if this attachment is weak, then the die can go off from the semiconducting oxide, then all this process will not work. So, this die should be strongly attached to the semiconducting oxide, then it will be stable, otherwise the process cannot happen. So, the photosensitizer or the die should have a anchoring group, for example COH group should be there, which can strongly bind with the semiconducting oxide. And the third characteristic of the die is the excited state level of the die should be higher in energy than the conduction band edge of the semiconductor, meaning that we are exciting the electron from the HOMO to the LUMO of the die. So, the electron is now excited from HOMO to the LUMO. All this happen in a very less time, for example femtosecond, 10 raised to minus 15 second this process is happening. So, it can immediately come back, because when electron move from HOMO to the LUMO, it will become unstable, it immediately comes back. But before it coming back, it should goes to the semiconducting oxide. So, this potential should be very matching. The LUMO potential should be very much matchable to the conduction band potential of the semiconducting oxide. Then only the electron can move from here. First the electron move from the HOMO to the LUMO, immediately it should go to the semiconducting oxide. From the semiconducting oxide, it should goes to the ITO plate and then to the anode. All these processes are happening in a very less time, 10 raised to minus 15 second. So, the third condition is the excited state level of the die should be higher in energy than the semiconduction band edge of the TiO2. Otherwise, suppose this level is lower than this one, what happens is, if you can suppose this level is lower and this level is higher. So, electron is moving from HOMO to the LUMO here, then this is a higher energy level, it cannot move here, it will come back. So, whole process cannot happen. So, always this level should be lesser than, so this level should be in higher and this level should be in lower. So, electron move from here, then move to the semiconducting oxide and it move through the anode to cathode. This is a very important condition. The excited state level of the die should be higher in energy than the conduction band edge of the semiconductor, so that an efficient electron transfer process between the excited die and the conduction band of the semiconductor can takes place. And fourth is, for the dye degeneration, the oxidized state level of the dye must be more positive than the redox potential of the electrolyte, because dye is now losing one electron, because that electron is moved to the semiconducting oxide and ITO plate. So, it should take one electron from the electrolyte. So, that electrolyte should be ready to give that electron, then only the dye will be regenerated, otherwise dye will be less stable. So, for dye degeneration, dye degeneration should be happen, otherwise electron cannot move from here to here, continuous flow of electron will not happen. So, for dye degeneration should be happen, for that the oxidized state level of the dye must be more positive than the redox potential of the electrolyte. That is also a very important condition. And fifth one is the dye should be photostable and electrochemically stable, and it should also be thermally stable, because if it is not photostable it will be bleached off, if it is thermally stable it will decompose. So, dye should be photostable, electrochemically stable and thermally stable. So, these are the essential condition for the dye. And there are many processes involved in the DSSC fabrications. We can classify into 9 different steps for the DSSC fabrication. First one is the glass cleaning and glass cutting, meaning that I told you these are made up of ITO plates, they are conducting glass. So, we have to clean the glass. If some dust particles are there, it will make some short circuit. So, the movement of electron will not happen. So, the current will be cut off. So, glass should be very clean and it should be cut in the perfect shape. Second step is the electrode material preparation. Electrode material preparation means the semiconducting oxide we have to prepare, and it should make a thin film on the ITO plate. Mainly the semiconducting oxide used are the TiO2 and zinc oxide. They can be prepared by various methods. So, second step is the electrode material preparation. Now, after preparing that electrode material, that should be attached to the ITO plate. So, for that we will use the screen printing of a semiconducting oxide on the ITO plate. Before that we have to make a paste of the TiO2, then only it will be well screen printed on the ITO plate. That paste making is by adding some ethyl cellulose plus ethanol in the electrode material TiO2 or zinc oxide. Then the fourth step involved in the DSSC fabrication is sintering. We have to sinter the electrode at a temperature 400 degree Celsius. Then only the electrode material will become crystalline, and also all the binder which is used as ethyl cellulose ethyl cellulose is used as the binder, that can be removed from the electrode material. So, the sintering is a we made the sintering because to remove the binder from the paste, as well as to make some crystallization in the electrode material. And fifth step is we have to sensitize the electrode, meaning that now up to this stage we prepared the anode. We have the ITO plate, then we have the semiconducting oxide. Now, we have to attach the dye. That process is known as the sensitization of the electrode. We should take this ITO plate and the semiconducting oxide into a dye solutions. That process is known as the sensitization of the electrode. And the sixth step is we have to fill the electrolyte into this system. For that we have to make some hole in the counter electrode. We will make some hole on the right corner of this cathode to put electrolyte. Electrolyte is in the liquid form, right. So, we have to prepare the electrolyte solution and make a hole on the counter electrode, meaning cathode, through that hole we can put the electrolyte solution. And this cathode also should add some platinum to catalyze the reaction, that is the 8th step. And finally, we can combine the anode and cathode through a wire. So, that is the device fabrication process. So, 9 important steps are involved in the DSSC fabrication. First one, glass cleaning and glass cutting. Second one, electrode material preparation. TiO2 and zinc oxide are used as the electrode material. Third one, screen printing of the paste, meaning screen printing of the electrode material. Fourth one, sintering. Fifth one, sensitization of the electrode, and sixth one, hole drilling. Seventh, electrolyte preparation, and through that hole we can fill the electrolyte. Eighth is we have to add the platinum on the counter electrode to catalyze the reaction. Finally, the 9th step is the device fabrication by combining the anode, cathode and the electrolyte. In this picture you can see on the right corner the device fabricated, anode, cathode plus electrolyte, and it is connected through a wire. So, this is the picture of a simple dye-sensitized solar cells. We can make a large number of cell like this, and that cell can be combined seriously to make a large panel. On the bottom you can see the large panel made up of the dye-sensitized solar cell to produce the electricity. And you can test the efficiency of the dye-sensitized solar cells by using solar stimulator. So, in this picture you can see a dye-sensitized solar cell we made in our lab, and it is showing an efficiency of 6.58%. So, many more cells can combine seriously and it can make a large panel. Here you can see a large panel of dye-sensitized solar cell which can produce a huge amount of electricity. So, this type of dye-sensitized solar cells are now coming in the market. It can produce or it can convert the free available sunlight into electrical energy. Thank you for listening this class.